वक्रतुण्डमहाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां विषजे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतो वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। साक्षात्कृतं दयानन्दं परमार्थस्वरूपिणं तत्त्वज्ञानप्रशास्तारं प्रणतोऽस्मि परं पदम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। नत्वा श्रीभारती तीर्थ विद्यारण्यमुनीश्वरो
नत्वा
श्रीभारतीतीर्थ
श्रीभारतीतीर्थ विद्यारण्यमुनीश्वरो
अधीमहे पञ्चदशीं कैवल्यपदसिद्धये
अधीमहे पञ्चदशीं कैवल्यपदसिद्धये
ननु देहमुपक्रम्य निद्रानन्दान्तवस्थुषु
ननु देहमुपक्रम्य निद्रानन्दान्तवस्तुषु
मा भूदात्मत्वमन्यस्तु न कश्चिदनुभूयते।
मा भूदात्मत्वमन्यस्तु न कश्चिदनुभूयते।
बाढुं निद्रादयः सर्वे नुभूयन्ते न चेतरः।
बाढं निद्रादयः सर्वे नुभूयन्ते न चेतरः।
तथाप्येतेऽनुभूयन्ते येन तं को निवारयेत्।
तथाप्येतेऽनुभूयन्ते येन तं को निवारयेत्।
अस्मिन् प्रकरणे पंचकोश विवेक प्रकरणे दशमश्लोकपर्यन्तं प्रथमश्लोकतः दशमश्लोकपर्यन्तम् अन्नमयादीनाम् आत्मत्वं निराक्रियते। देहात् उपक्रम्य आरभ्य निद्रानंद आनंदमय कोश पर्यन्तम् निद्रानन्दान्त वस्तुषु। अतः एते पंचकोशाः अनुभवगोचराः, तेषां विकारित्वम् अस्ति, अतः आत्मत्वं निराक्रियते। मा भूत् आत्मनः भावः आत्मत्वं मा भूत्। यदि आत्मत्वं नास्ति येषां पंचकोशानां, तर्हि येषाम् आत्मत्वं नास्ति, तर्हि अन्यः तु न अन्यः तु न कश्चित् अनुभूयते। तर्हि पंच आत्मत्वं निराकरणानन्तरं कः अवशिष्यते? कः अवशिष्यते? कश्चित् न अवशिष्यते, अतः कश्चित् न अनुभूयते। अतः आत्मनः अभावः एव इति आक्षेपः। पंचकोशानाम् आत्मत्वं निराकरणानन्तरम् आत्मनः अभावः एव इति प्रश्नः। तस्य उत्तरं बाढं सत्यं निद्रादयः सर्वे अनुभूयन्ते। अनुभवगोचराः निद्रादयः अन्नमयादयः सर्वे अनुभूयन्ते, सत्यमेव। न च इतरः अन्यः आत्मा न अनुभूयन्ते, किन्तु तथापि येन अनुभूयन्ते येन अनुभूयन्ते येन पंचकोशानाम् अनुभवः भवति। पंचकोशाः अनुभूयन्ते येन येन पंचकोशाः अनुभवविषयाः भवन्ति, येन तं कः निवारयेत्? त- तं कः निवारयेत्? कः निवारयितुं शक्नोति? आक्षेपार्थे प्रश्नः। अतः अन्नमयादि व्यतिरिक्त अन्यवस्तु अन्यवस्तु अस्ति एव इति सिद्धम्। तं विना पंचकोशानां पंचकोशानाम् अनुभवः न विद्यते, न भवति। अतः पंचकोशानां साक्षिभूतः आत्मा अस्ति इति एव स्वीकर्तव्यम्। कः निवारयेत् इति आक्षेपः, अतः आत्मा अस्ति एव इति स्वीकर्तव्यमिति आचार्यस्य उत्तरम्। गतवर्गे टीकां न पठितवन्तः, अद्य पठामः। परिहरति बाढम् इति। बाढम् इति युक्ते सत्यं यस्। अत्र निद्राशब्देन निद्रानन्दः लक्ष्यते। निद्रानन्दः इत्युक्ते आनन्दमयकोशः, आनन्दः। निद्रादयः आदिपदात्। निद्रा आदिः येषान्ते इति युक्ते निद्रादयः बहुव्रीहिः अन्नमयादारभ्य आनन्दमयकोश पर्यन्तम् निद्रादयः। निद्रादयः देहान्ताः देहान्ताः उपलम्ब्यते। निद्रादयः देहान्ताः देहान्तः देहशरीरम् in the reverse order, starting from Anandamaya up to Annamaya. Upalabhyante, Anubhuyante, Upalabhyante, Anubhuyante. Upalabhamanaha Nidradaya. अन्यः न अनुभूयन्ते, अन्यवस्तु न अनुभूयन्ते इति यत् उक्तं भवता तत् सत्यमेव, बाढं सत्यं, दट् इस् ट्रू, सत्यं, तत् सत्यं। कथं तर्हि तद् अतिरिक्तस्य आत्मनः अङ्गीकारः इति आह। तद् व्यतिरिक्त, कथं तर्हि तद् व्यतिरिक्त, तद् इत्युक्ते अत्र तद् इति पदेन पञ्चकोशः अभिधीयते। तद् पञ्चकोश अतिरिक्त, अन्नमयादिभ्यः अतिरिक्तः आत्मनः अङ्गीकारः कथम् इति आह। How do we accept, how do we acknowledge the existence of Atma other than the Panchakosha? कथं तथापि इति अन्यस्य अनुपलभ्यमानत्वे अपि यत् यद्बलात् एतेषाम् आनन्दमयादीनाम् अनुपलभ्यमानता भवति, सः अनुभवः कथं न अङ्गीक्रियते इत्यर्थः। अन्यस्य अनुपलभ्यमानत्वे अपि यत् बलात् एतेषाम् आनन्दमयादीनाम् अनुपलभ्यमानता, the status of being experienced, अनुपलभ्यमानता, अनुपूर्वक लब धातु कर्मणि शानच, and then tasya bhavah patolo tadita रूपम, anu plus lab plus yak plus shanaj plus then thal pratyaya, अनुपलभ्यमानता अन्नमयादीनाम् एतेषाम् अन्नमयादीनाम् अनुपलभ्यमानता भवति. The status of being experienced is therefore these annamaya koshas, yad by the force, by the strength of which that anupalabhyamanatve api, anyasya referring to panchakoshat, panchakoshebhyah vitiriktah, panchakoshebhyah vitiriktasya anyasya, different from the panchakosha, that is anupalabhyamanatve api, even though it doesn't have the status of being experienced. Anupalabhyamanatve न उपलभ्यमानत्वम् अनुपलभ्यमानत्वम्, अनुपलभ्यमानत्वे अपि तथापि सः अनुभवः, कः अनुभवः, अन्नमयादीनाम् अनुभवः, अन्नमयादिकोशः अनुभवगोचरः, अतः सः अनुभवः कथं न अङ्गीक्रियते, सः अनुभवः कथं न अङ्गीक्रियते इत्युक्ते आक्षेपार्थे पंचकोशानां साक्षीभूतः आत्मा अस्ति एव, अतः अङ्गीकर्तव्यम्, आत्मनः भावः अङ्गीकर्तव्यः इत्यर्थः. In the absence of Atma, the experience of all these are not possible. Therefore, katham na angikirate, why don't you acknowledge the existence of that Atma, without which the experience of Annamayadi koshas are not possible. Even though Atma is not subject to experience, even though it doesn't enjoy the status of being experienced, because of which other koshas are experienced, then why don't you acknowledge the existence of that Atma? Iti. Tam na angikiriyate. Tam kaha nivarayet. Up to this we saw. So, so therefore here the Acharya did not answer to the question, just a counter question. Yena sarvena anubhuyante tam kaha nivarayet. The experiencer cannot be experienced. The blankness, the emptiness, the empty after dismissing all the emptiness, what you experience, who experiences that, who has the experience of that. Therefore, even the emptiness or silence, that is an experience available for experience. That implies there must be an experiencer who is not subject to experience. We can negate everything. All the koshas are can be negated. Its absence, but after negating its absence is also experienced. The presence of koshas are experienced. The absence of koshas are also experienced by whom? That cannot be dismissed. Koshas can be dismissed. Koshas can be dismissed, but how can you dismiss the experiencer of that experience of that which is there after negating all the koshas. So that kaha nivarayet. For it is iti, he counter question. Now he will further explain how this Sakshi Chaitanyam is unnegatable. Everything else is negatable except Sakshi Chaitanyam. Because everything is available for objectification, it's available for experience, therefore they can be negated. But that which is the cause of all the experiences, that cannot be negated. That without any object, that which remains as it is, without a second thing, without an object, that cannot be negated, even though the object is not there. Objectifying is not there. Second thing is not there, but that remains without being experienced. It doesn't, because see, experience is possible only when there is a second thing, only when there is an object. Then only experience, subject, object, experience. Object implies there is subject. Minus object, subject cannot be dismissed. Object is there, therefore it is illumined. Object is not there, nothing is there to illumine, but the illuminator cannot say not there. So therefore, experience that Atma, which is the cause of all the experiences, without being experienced, it continues to exist. So therefore, that cannot be dismissed. Now, from the next shloka, the Acharya, he gets into a wonderful discussion. The author says how this Atma, is not available for experience. It is not Anubhava Vishaya. If it is Anubhava Vishaya, it is Gochara Vishaya, then it is also one of the objects. It becomes one of the objects. It is not. So that he presents from the following shlokas. From the 13th shloka to 27th shloka. Beautifully the Acharya presents here. Just read shloka number 13. Swayameva vidyate nanubhavyatha.
स्वयमेवानुभूतित्वा
विद्यते
विद्यते
नानुभाव्यथा
नानुभव्यता
ज्ञातृ ज्ञानान्तरा भावादज्ञेयो न त्वसत्तया
ज्ञातृज्ञानान्तराभावादज्ञेयो
ज्ञातृज्ञानान्तराभावादज्ञेयो
न
न
सत्तया
सत्तया
आत्मा न अनुभव विषयः. Atma na anubhava vishaya, not available for experience. Swayam eva anubhutitva, swayam eva anubhuti swarupa. Atma na anubhuyate. Atma na anubhuyate. Swayameva anubhutitvat. Swayameva by itself. Swayameva anubhutitvat. Anubhavyata na vidyate. Swayameva anubhutitvat means it is of the nature of, it is of the nature of experience. It is not experienced, experienceable. It is of the nature of anubhuti swarupa. Anubhuti, it is ever experienced. Anubhutitvam, the status of being experienced, ever experienced. It is not an experience happening at a particular time or a particular place. There is no time when Atma Anubhava is not there. Object Anubhava is not like that. Vishaya Anubhava tu Kale Bhavati, Tasmin Staneva, Kaleva Bhavati. Vishaya Anubhava is an event happening at a time, in a particular place. When the Vishaya, when the object comes to vicinity, there is subject-object perception, that the subject recognizes the object, or subject-object fusion, etc. can happen. But Atma, Anubhava is not an event because it is ever experienced. Objects alone are experienced, not all the time. When it is available, it is experienced. Therefore, at a particular place and time, objects are experienced. But Atma is Anubhuti Swarupam. It is ever experienced, therefore cannot be experienced. Swayameva Anubhutitvat. Swayameva Anubhutitvat. Therefore, it is available in all the avastha. Sarvastu avastasu. Jagrat avasthayam, sapna avasthayam, sushupti avasthayam, sarvas avasthayam, Anubhutitvat. Therefore, it is Anubhuti Swarupam. Sarvasu avastasu Anubhutitvat. Therefore, it must be Anubhuti Swarupam. Atmanaha sarve, Atmanaha Vyatiriktaha sarve, Achetanaha Jada Vastuni, Vastuni, Ataha Te Anubhav Vishayaha Bhavanti, Kintu Atma to Chaitanya Swarupaha, Anubhava Swarupaha, Swayam Anubhuti Swarupaha, Sada Anubhav Vishayaha, Natu Kadachitka Anubhava Vishayaha, Natu Vishayaha eva Kadachitka Anubhava na bhavati Atmanaha. Therefore, Anubhutitvat. It is as the experience available in all the experiences. Every experience, every perception, every experience, every perception has got the Anubhuti of Atma. Minus Atma, there cannot be any experience. Therefore, Anubhavyata, that is a hetu. Anubhutitvat. Anubhavyata. Anubhavyata. Gocharatvam. Anubhava Gocharatvam na vidyate Atmanaha. Anubhavyata. It need not be experienced. It need not be experienced at a particular time or event. Anubhavyata na vidyate Atmanaha. Anubhava Vishayatvam nasti Atmanaha. Atma doesn't anubhavyata. Tasya bhavaha tvatalo. Na anubhavyata. Bhavyata. Na anubhavyata. Na anubhavyata. Anubhavyatvam na vidyate nasti Atmanaha. Atma doesn't have the status of being experienceable, experienced. Anubhava gocharatvam na vidyate. Atma. Even pramana is not required. No pramana is required to prove Atma. Because in the Jagat, nothing is Nothing is established in the world without the object as prameya, without objectifying the object as prameya, without having the object of knowledge, an object. The object must have the status of being an object of knowledge, otherwise cannot be known. That's why pramana is required. You should become the object of knowledge for proof, then only for that only pramana is that, then only the object is recognized, object is established, object is appreciated. But Atma doesn't require any evidence to know the existence of Atma. Object's existence require pramanam. An object exists, how do you know? You have to know it by pramanam. But what about the Atma? Atma doesn't require any evidence. Evidence, the proof is required only with regard to the objects for establishing it. But with regard to Atma, evidence is the proof is not required because of the existence of Atma alone. In fact, we even operate pramanam. Pramana is operated. It doesn't operate by itself. When blessed by Atma, then only pramana also can be operated. So therefore, it is I who handle the tools of knowledge. So therefore, without me, there cannot be one who handle the pramana. Therefore, because of Atma, since the pramanam exists, therefore, to establish an object, we require pramana, but to prove the existence of Atma, we don't require pramana. The proof of something, in fact, the proof of something, that is a proof of object, proves the existence of Atma. The proof of something through operating a means of knowledge implies the existence of Atma, because minus Atma, pramana cannot be operated. No pramana, no means of knowledge is operatable minus Atma. Therefore, no means of knowledge is required to prove Atma. In every proof, there is Atma. Atma is available as I, aham iti, sapta spurti. Bodham prati, pratibodha viritam matam. In every vritti, in every cognition, Atma is, Upanishad says, every bodham, in every pratyaya, every cognition, the vritti is available for your knowledge. Vritti thought is jada, but vritti is jada, but the vritti behind the vritti, what is a jada, and it is illumined by Chaitanya. Every vritti is illumined by the Atma. Therefore, the vritti is known. Minus Atma, how can it be known? So, and between the two vrittis, what is there? That without vritti, you cannot say blank, nothing is there. You can say blankness is a blank, but blank is also illumined. That is Atma. Because object is not there, therefore Atma is not appreciated in that interval. So it doesn't mean Atma is not there. That is why the proof of the existence of objects implies the proof of existence of Atma. How is it possible? Swayam eva anubhutitvat. That is the hidetu. Because you say an object exists, therefore we can say Atma exists. To prove the existence of Atma, we need not have the experience of Atma. The experience of objects implies the experience of Atma. That is a proof. Therefore, Atmanaha Anubhava Gocharatvam Anubhavyata na vidyate swayam anubhutitvat. To prove that Sakshi Chaitanyam, suppose if you want to prove Sakshi Chaitanyam exists, Then to prove that we require another Sakshi Chaitanya. Then that becomes Atma. Then to prove that we require another Sakshi. So it will go on regressive, regression. So therefore it cannot be. So therefore Sakshi Chaitanyam is there in the presence of which everything everything illumined is everything is illumined. So the illuminator, everything is illumined means the illuminator must be there. Therefore everything is Jadam. They are Anubhava Gocharaha, Sarve Vishayaha, Achetanaha. But Sakshi Chaitanyam is Chetanatva. It is Swayam Anubhutitva. It is self-evident. Therefore, Atmanaha Anubhavyatvam Nasti. Therefore, no need for Sakshi Chaitanyam to be experienced. No need for Sakshi Chaitanyam to be illumined. It doesn't require to be illumined. Because it is ever illumined. It is self-evident, self-shining, ever experienced. Therefore, Anubhavyata na vidyate. Jnatra Jnanantara Jnatra Jnanantara Bhavat Ajneyah Jnatra Jnana Antara Jnatra Jnanantara Jnatra Jnanantara is Mayura Vimsakari Samasa Anya Jnatra Jnane Yata Deshantara is Anya Deshaha Mayura Vimsakari. Or in another way also it can be compound, it can be seen. Jnata cha Jnanam cha Jnatra Jnane Tayoho Antaram Jnatra Jnanantaram Tayoga Bhavaha Jnatra Jnanantara Bhavaha Panchami of that Tasmat Jnatra Jnanantara Bhavat Jnatra Jnanantara Bhavat Ajneyah Atma is Ajneyah, not having the status of being objectified. Ajneyah. Atma is Ajneyah, not having, it doesn't have the status of being objectified. Why? Because Etu is Jnanantara, Jnatra Jnanantara Abhava. Because there is no objectifier, and therefore there is no objectifying knowledge. There is no Jnata, Jnata Nasti. The knower is not there, Karta not there. Therefore, knowledge also it is, and therefore Atma is Ajneyah. It is not Jneyah, Ajneyah. It is not available for objectification. Vidita Tanyata, Vidita Tanyata. It is not Jneyah, Ajneyah. Ajneyah means it is not, it doesn't have the state, the condition, the status of being objectified. Therefore, there is no any other than Atma, there is no other subject to objectify Sakshi Chaitanyam. Therefore, Jnatra Jnanantara. No other subject available to objectify. Jnatra Jnanantara Abhavat. Anya Jnatra Jnane is Jnatra Jnanantare. Tayoho Abhavaha Tasmat Abhavat. There is no other subject and therefore no other knowledge. Jnanam also. Therefore, it is not subject to experience. Jnatra Jnanantara Abhavat Ajneyah. Don't think it doesn't exist. Atmanaha Ajneyatve Sati Ajneyatva Bhave Sati Atma Nasti iti na vadatu. Asattam Nasti, Asattam na ityartaha. Because it is not available for experience. It is not, it doesn't exist. Nasato vidyate bhavaha abhavo vidyate sataha ubayorapi drishtontaha tanayo tattvadarshibhihi. It is not due to asatvam of the Atma, natu asattaya. Natu asattaya, it is not due to asatvam. It is not asatvam, asattaya, the status of being asatvam, not being present. It's not due to not being present. It is not due to the absence of Atma. Natu asattaya. Atma being of the very nature of knowledge, it doesn't require another knowledge or another subject to illumine Atma, to know Atma. It is Swayam Prakashaha. Therefore, it is Svata Siddhaha. It is Swayam Prakashaha. Svetara Aprakashitve Sati. Svetara Sarva Prakashatvam. Svaprakashatvam. Definition of Saprakasha. Sve itara, sva itara, other than oneself. Sarva prakashakatvam, sarva prakashakatvam, saprakashakatvam. Sve itara aprakashatve sati. Not illumined by anything else, but it illumines everything else. It doesn't require to be illumined by anything else, but it illumines everything. Everything. Therefore, it is Swayam Prakasha, Saprakasha, Swanubhutihi, Swayameva Anubhutitva. It is self-evident. Therefore, Anyaha Pramata na vidyate, Anyaha Jnanamapi na vidyate. Not because it is not there. Atu Asattaya. Generally, what we think, when something is not available for knowing as an object, then we conclude it is not there. It is not. That kind of object is Asat. Like the man with two horns. Asat. It is Sarva Pramana Agocharam. But Atma is not like that. After negating all the koshas, since one's experience emptiness, nothingness, therefore one can negate Atma because there is nothing. Nothing. But Atma is not the subject, the Atma. Yeah, the author gives another reason. Atma, he says, Atma is not the subject available for objectification. Atma na jnata. Therefore, jnanam also is not possible. It is the ultimate subject. It is of the nature of self-effulgence, Swayam Prakasha. Therefore, it is not the subject. It is, therefore, Atma is not, to know Atma, there is no subject available, therefore, no jnanam also. Therefore, jnatra jnanantara abhavat. Abhavat, therefore, Atma is Ajñeyaha. Because it is Ajñeyaha, we should not conclude it doesn't exist also. That is negated. Atu asattaya. Therefore, jnataram jnanam vina. Api, jnataram jnanam vina Vishaya jnanam na bhavati. Kintu Atmanaha jnatra jnanantara abhavat. Atma Ajñeya bhavati, kintu natu na sattaya. Not because it doesn't exist. Atma asti eva jnatra jnanantara bhavat Ajñeya bhavati. Vastu also are not available for knowing when there is no jnata jnanam. Atma is also not available for knowing by the absence of jnata jnanam. But doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It exists. It means it is Swaprakasha, it is Swatasiddhaha, Ityarthaha. That is the meaning. Tikakara. Nanu, Uktebhyaha Anyaha Atma Yadi Vidyate, Tarhi Upalabhyeta. Uktebhyaha Panchakoshebhyaha, Vitriktaha Atma. Yadi Atma is there, Anyaha Atma. Tarhi, it must be experience, Upalabhyeta, available for experience. Kintu na Upalabhyate, but not available for experience. Therefore, Atma Ataha Nasti iti Ashankya Aha. Therefore, Atma is not there. Doubting. Yeah, the person doubts, the Acharya says, Swayam iti Anandamayadinam Sakshinaha Anubhava Rupatvat Eva Anubhavyatvam Nasti Na Asti iti. Anandamayadinam Sakshinaha. Sakshi Chaitanyam Sakshinaha. Anubhavarupatvat eva anubhavyatvam na asti iti. That which that the Sakshi Chaitanyam, the presence of which Anandamaya, etc., everything experienced, Anubhavarupatvat eva anubhavyatvam na. That cannot be, that is not available, that is not anubhavyata, anubhavyatvam nasti. Anubhava Annamayadina Sakshinaha Anubhava Rupatvat means it is ever experienced. Anubhava Rupatvat, therefore, Anubhavyatvam Nasti, it doesn't have the status of being experienced because it is ever experienced. Anubhava Rupatvat means it is Svanubhava Rupatvat. Sakshinaha Svanubhava Rupatvat. It is available for experience all the time, but not as an object. Should not look for any special experience. Any other experience implies object. It is not an object experience. Anubhava Rupatvat, Svanubhava Rupatvat, Anubhutitvat. Therefore, Anubhavyatvam, the status of being experienced as an object is not there. Anubhava Gocharatvam Atmanaha Nasti iti. Nanu Anubhava Rupatve api Anubhavyatvam Kutaha Nasyat iti Ashankya aha. Anubhava Rupatve, let it be Swanabhava, Anubhuti Rupam, fine. But why it doesn't have the status of being experienced iti? If you ask, for that the answer is Jnatri iti. Jnata cha jnanam cha jnatra jnane. Anye jnatra jnane. Mayur Vimsakadi. The author gives the Grahavakya of the Samasa also. Jnata cha jnanam cha jnatra jnane iti Tretra Dvandva. Anye jnatra jnane. Mayur Vimsakadi. Samasa. Kamtana Tatpurusha. Jnatra jnanantare tayoho abhavaha. Therefore, Jnatra Jnanantara Abhavaha. Tasmat Abhavat, Jnatra Jnanantara Abhavat, Atma is Ajnayaha. Jnata Vishayaha na bhavati. Iti. Jnatradi Abhavat Jnayate. Because of the absence of the Jnata and the Jnanam, therefore it is Atma is na Jnayate. Swasya eva asatvad atra nigamane karanamitiyaha. Atma na Jnayate Jnatra Jnana Abhavatvat. Swasya eva asatvatva. Why it could be not available. It doesn't exist. Swasya eva asatvatva kimatra nigamane. Why we can't say so? For that karanam, the reason etu is given. Natu asattayayati. Natu asattayeti. Nidrananda di sakshitvena asatvasya purvam eva nirakritatva iti bhavaha. Atma is not asat. Why the author has not explained? Because already it is told. Nidranandadi Sakshitvena, as the Sakshi Chaitanyam of Nidrananda, the Panchakosha, therefore Purvameva, therefore Sakshitvena, Asatvasya Purva Nirakritatva. The non-existence of Atma is dismissed. It means Atma exists. Already it has been said, Purvameva Uktaha, iti bhavaha. Purvameva Uktaha, where in all these shlokas before 10, when talked about Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya, all the koshas are negated. Atma, with regard to Atma Asti, other koshas are, all the koshas are negated. Therefore, Atma Sat Asti, Atmanaha Astitvam Asti. Therefore, Atmanaha Asatvam, Atmanaha Asatvasya Nirakritaha Kritaha eva Purvam. Iti bhavaha. Then the next this shloka, let us read it. Madhuryadisvabhava nam anyatra svagunarpinam
माधुर्यादिस्वभावानामन्यत्र सुगुणार्पिणाम्
स्वस्मिंस्तदर्पणापेक्षा नो न चास्त्यन्यदर्पकम्
स्वस्मिंस्तदर्पणापेक्षा नो नश्चास्त्यन्तदर्पकम्
Shloka is simple. Well, you need to do the padacheda. Madhuryadi swabhavana anyatra swa gunarprinam swasmin swasmin sandhi. What sandhi? Aschavya prashan padanta nakara followed by chav followed by yam. Repanuswara sandhi. Aschavya prashan. That's a sandhi. Swasmin. तत् तदर्पणा तदर्पण अपेक्षा तदर्पणापेक्षा नो न नो नहु नास्ति न च अस्ति अन्यत् अर्पकम् simple shloka only but it looks difficult when we read so madhuryadi svabhana anyatra swagunarpinam sakshi chaitanyam sakshi chaitanyam is not known through the process of knowledge. The process of the knowing is all only for the objects, not for the Sakshi Chaitanya. The process is not available for Sakshi Chaitanya. The mind has to illumine the object and the object shines. And the mind has to, see, for an object knowledge to happen, the mind has to illumine the object and the object shines in the buddhi vritti and buddhi, yeah, it is illuminated and the object is known. That is how the knowledge happens. We have seen before also how an object is known. The vritti goes out, pervades the object, and it is reflected in the antakaranam. When it is illuminated by Atma and the Chidabhasa, the knowledge is known. That is how the knowledge process happens for in the mind to know an object for an object knowledge. But what about Atma? This, if you remember, vritti vyapti, phala vyapti. Two things are involved in knowing an object. But that is not the way the Atma is known. And here the author gives a drishtanta. Drishtantaha, drishtantena uchyate. Drishtantah madhurya. Madhurya, madhurasya bhavaha madhurya, tadita word. Madhuryadi subhavanam, madhura subhavanam, gudadinam, like jaggery, sharkara, etc. Gudadinam, madhura padarthanam. Madhura padarthanam kim asti, madhuryam asti, sweetness. Sweetness is there for the sweet things. So sweet, like sugar, jaggery. They are sweet. Do they become sweet? They doesn't become sweet. It doesn't become sweet in time. It doesn't become sweet in place. So when does it become sweet? Sweetness is not an event for sugar. Sweetness is not an event for jaggery. Doesn't happen in at a particular time or place. It is always sweet. That is why it is sweet. Which part of the sugar is sugar? Candy is sweet. Every part of the sugar, if you touch the sugar crystal with your tongue, every part, it is sweet. So it is sweet all the time. It doesn't become sweet at any particular time. Whereas that which is not sweet becomes sweet by the addition of this sweet sugar, jaggery. When rice is mixed, rice is not sweet, but when it's mixed with jaggery and or the sugar, They cook rice payasam, then that becomes sweet. Rice becomes sweet. The non-sweet gets sweetness. The non-sweet object gets sweetness. That happens in time. But sweetness of the sugar doesn't happen in time because it is Swarupa, its nature. Therefore, there is no apeksha, there is no dependency, there is no dependence for sugar for sweetness to become sweet. Sugar doesn't have any apeksha. No dependency is there for sugar to become sweet. No conditions are there for sugar to become sweet. So Madhurya Sabhavadi, Madhuryanam, Madhura Sabhavanam, Gudadinam, the sugar, Madhurya, Madhura Sabhavanam, Gudadinam, Madhuryameva Sabhavaha. यदा अन्यैः पदार्थैः संयुक्ताः भवन्ति तदा अन्यपदार्थानामपि अन्यपदार्थानामपि माधुर्यत्वं भवति यद्यपि अन्यपदार्थः न माधुर्यः तेषां माधुर्यत्वं कथं भवति माधुर्यपदार्थानां संयोजनेन स्वगुणान् अर्पयन्ति स्वगुणार्पिणा अन्यत्र स्वगुणार्पिणा with regard to other objects madhuryadi madhura swabhava is there for sugar jaggery other objects do not have madhurya swabhava madhura swabhava anyatra swagunarpina by rendering its sweetness to other padartha swagunarpina swaguna pradhayakanam gudadinam स्वगुणार्पिणाम स्वगुणार्पिन शब्द स्वस्य गुणः स्वगुणः स्वगुणम् अर्पयन्ति that is the nature of the sugar or jaggery therefore tachilaha swagunam arpayanti tachilaha tesham swagunarpin nakaranta shabda Tachiladi pratyaya, nipratyaya, so swagunam arpayanti. Arpayanti also it is rudhat becomes gets pukakama becomes arpayanti, arpayati, arpayataha, arpayanti. Swagunam arpayanti. Tachiladi, nini pratyaya, then swagunarpin will become. You decline swagunarpi, swagunarpino, swagunarpinaha, karin shabdavat. Chashti Bhagavachram Swagunarpina. Swagunarpina Madhura Subhavana. So Madhura Padarthanam Madhuryatvam Asti Eva. It's naturally it is there. Whereas with regard to other objects, Anya Padarthanam Madhuryatvam Katam Bhavati. Madhura Subhava Padarthana Madhura Padarthaihi Sanyuktaihi. When it combines with sugar, etc., then it gets a status of madhuryatvam. So te api anya padarthaha api anyaha padarthaha api madhura gunaha bhavanti sanyojanena. Therefore, the gudadinam madhurya padarthanam apeksha madhuryatva apeksha nasti. So there is no dependency for sugar to become sweet. So swataha eva madhuryatvam asti. Anyesham padarthanam madhuryagitanam apeksha nasti gudadinam. Jaggery, etc., sugar, etc., doesn't depend upon anything else for its sweetness. It has got natural sweet. It is naturally sweet. That's why we say naturally. Tadvat, similarly, Sakshi Chaitanyam also, it is of the nature of knowledge. Like sweetness is the nature of sugar, jaggery, etc. Similarly, Sakshi Chaitanyam is of the nature of knowledge. Nyapti Swarupaha. Jnanaswarupaha. Yata gudadinam anya padartaha napekshitaha. Tadvat atmanah api anya atmanah api apeksha nasti. Atmanah api anya vastu apeksha nasti. For what? To prove its existence. To know it. No effort is required, or nothing is required in knowing Sakshi Chaitanyam. Because it is ever known. It is Nyakti Swarupaha, Jnana Swarupaha. Atma doesn't become Bodha Swarupa in time. Like sugar doesn't become Madhurya. Sugar doesn't get attain Madhuryatvam in time. Similarly, Atma doesn't get Bodhatvam in time. Madhuryadi Sabhavatvat. The Swarupa is that of sweet for sugar. Similarly, the knowledge is the Swarupa of Sakshi Chaitanyam. And the interesting thing is, if you the word Madhuryadi, Sabhavanam, grammatically two, there are two samasas, two Bhagubrigi. Bhagubrigi inside the Bhagubrigi. Bhagubrigi, Garbha Bhagubrigi. Madhurya Adi Subhava is that. Madhuryam Adi Yeshante Madhuryadi. Madhuryadi Subhavanam Yeshante Madhurya Padarthaha Madhurya Padarthanam. So two Bhagubrigis are there. So, so object having sweetness, etc. That is a Subhava Swarupa. Swagunarpinam. When it renders its sweetness to other objects become sweet. Other objects which are not sweet become sweet. When the Madhurya Padartha renders sweetness. Similarly, for those objects also, for those objects, Swasmin, the objects are known. Objects are known in the presence of Atma, but how Atma is known? Atma is ever known, ever experienced. That is why the Drishtanta is given. Yata Madhuryanam Apeksha Nasti, Madhuryadinam Anyavastu Apeksha Nasti, Swasmin Tad Arpana Apeksha Nasti, Madhurya Arpana Apeksha Nasti. There is no dependency on offering sweetness to oneself for sugar. Apeksha Nasti, Madhurya Arpana Apeksha Nasti. Therefore, and similarly, Anyat Arpakam Cha Nasti. No object can give sweetness to sugar. Sugar is always sweet. Similarly, Atma also doesn't depend upon the process of knowing as Chaitanyam. Therefore, there we don't require a jnanam, a means of knowing. Atma is not available as an object of knowledge like any other object of knowledge. Objects are known by means of knowledge and jnata is involved. But object, but Atma alone, Atma is how it is known, how it is knowable, need not. Like the sugar doesn't depend on its sweetness for anything else. Similarly, Atma doesn't depend on anything else for its knowing, doesn't depend on any process of knowledge. Process of knowledge, what I mean is that that vritti vyapti and phala vyapti, that process, that is required for object knowledge, not for the knowledge of very Atma itself. Therefore, Swasmin tat arpana apeksha, Swasmin tat arpana apeksha nacha asti anyatatmakam. Here the author talks about only the Drishtanta, but Dashtanta we need to know from the Drishtanta. Second line, Swasmin in itself tat arpana apeksha nasti. That which is Madhura Padartha, Madhurya, Swasmin, Swarupe, Tad arpana apeksha. The sugar expect something else to add sugar to it. Na. Tadarpana apeksha nasti. Therefore, anyat arpakam nasti. Anyat arpakam. Tadarpana apeksha nasti. Tadarpana apeksha na cha asti anyat arpakam. Anyat arpakam. Swasmin अन्यत् अर्पकम स्वस्मिन् अर्पणापेक्षा नास्ति अन्यत् अर्पकम नास्ति अर्पकम अर्पकम is the one who gives, who renders, who gives, arpaka offering, who offers, the offerer anyat other offerer, other thing which gives sweet is not there for the sugar. Anyat arpakam nasti. स्वस्मिन् एव स्वस्मिन् तदर्पणापेक्षा नास्ति अन्यत् अर्पकं च नास्ति. So गुडादीनां मधुरस्वभावानां गुडादीनां अन्य पदार्थः न अपेक्षितः. अन्य पदार्थः न अपेक्षितः. Why? Because तेषु गुडादिषु माधुर्यादि समर्पकं अन्य पदार्थः अपि नास्ति. No other object can in fact can improve upon the sweetness of the sugar, jaggery, etc. Therefore, anya padartha being non-sweet, therefore tesham arpakatvam nasti. Anya padartha swayam amadura rupatvena vartate madhuryatvam nasti. Therefore, katam arpayitum shaknoti na shaknoti. So arpaka is not there. And also it itself doesn't depend on anything else for its sweetness. Vaspin tat arpana peksha nasti, doesn't have dependency, doesn't have expectation, and also there is no other object who can render sweetness to it. This is the drishtanta. The same drishtanta can be extended to dashtanta. So swaguna arpinam. Swaguna arpinam, similarly, Atma, which is Chaitanyam, because of Atma, the other than Atma, that is the objects, they seems to enjoy sentiency. Atma is sentient, Chaitana. What about the object? The objects which, the Shariram, for example, Shariramana Sangata, mind also, they are insentient, Jadam only. Because of the Sanyoga with Atma, because of Atma being reflected in the Shariramana Sangata, therefore the Shariramana Sangata seems to enjoy sentiency, Swagunarpinam. And Atma is of the nature of knowledge, it's the nature of Chaitanyam, it is consciousness, its consciousness is reflected, is borrowed. It's borrowed by the Achetana Vastu, Sharira Manasangata. Therefore, they are sentient. The sentiency of the body is attributed to sentiency of the Atma. Like a padartha which is not sweet, enjoys sweetness, if the sweetness is attributed to sugar. Tadvat, similarly. Swasmin tad arpana apeksha tasya gunasya sampadanasya apeksha, Atma doesn't have to become the object of knowledge. Other objects, the inert object, the vastu, they have the expectation, they should be known. They have the expectancy of knowing. To become an object of knowledge, they have to become the object of knowledge. Otherwise, it cannot be recognized. They cannot be recognized. But Atma doesn't have that expectancy to become the object of knowledge. Only when it is like any other object, then we'll have the expectancy. Like the sugar. Sugar doesn't have the expectation of getting madhuryatvam from other objects. Similarly, Atma doesn't have the expectancy of being known, not there for Atma. Why? Because in the presence of which alone everything is known. Similarly, nacha anyata arpakam asti. Not anything can make the Atma known also. Like how no and how anything cannot render sweetness to sugar. Similarly, anything other than Atma cannot render Atmatvam to Atma, sentiency to Atma, because Atma is the nature of Chaitanyam. Therefore, what can render Chaitanatvam to Atma? Therefore, nasti na vidyate iti. Nacha asti anyat arpakam. Other arpakam, other offerer is not there. Similarly, for Atma also, there is no other thing which can offer Chaitanatvam. Therefore, Chaitanatvam is his Swarupa, the Atma. That is the main Drishtanta, the Acharya explains Dashtanta. Dashtanta, even though he has not explained, we need to extend from the Drishtanta. So therefore, Atma is Swayam Saprakashaha, Swayam Prakashaha Atma, Swatasiddhaha Atma. Anya Vishayehi Atmanaha Siddhi na bhavati. Acha Anyat Arpakam Yata Nasti Dashtante Tadvat Dashtante. Therefore, Atmanaha Siddhi Siddhyartam Anya Vastu Apeksha Nasti. We don't need to have any proof for the existence of the Atma. In fact, the objects exist. That is the proof of Atma. The perception of objects is the proof of Atma. Atma need not be validated by any other objects. Cannot be also, not need not. Atma cannot be validated by anything other than Atma. It is self-validated. Like sugar is self-validated. It is sugar by itself. It doesn't become sugar. Doesn't have expectancy from anything else. And nothing else available to add sugarness to sugar. Only Atma also, it is self-dependent. Swatantraha, independent. Self-dependent, independent. Upon Atma only the dependency is there for the objects. For its availability as object of knowledge. But Atma doesn't have that. It is Swatasiddhaha, Swayam Prakashaha, Anyat Arpakam, Anyat Vastu Apeksha Nasti Atmanaha. For knowing. That is the meaning. The Tika, we will see the next class. Om Purnamadav Purnamidham Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Dhanyavadaha.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದ ಅಜ್ಜಿ.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದ ಶರಣಜಿ.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದ.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು ಶರಣ್ಜಿ.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದ.